Hi, hello, and welcome back to Hellspawn Studios. Or welcome, if you're new. This is the last time you're ever going to hear that intro. I'm not deleting my channel, don't worry. I'm going to explain what's going on, but there's just so much shit happening, and it's all happening at once. So I'm going to basically go through everything that led to this video in chronological order. Here we go. What happened to Rebuild? So, as many of you know, I had been seriously working on a reboot and continuation of a now 10-year-old creepypasta webcomic called The Creepy Crew, made by a user named Lady Creepypasta, who has since deactivated and now makes videos on a separate channel about Sega games, sometimes. They're not super active anymore, and I haven't really been following their content as of late. This project actually technically started maybe a year or two before the webcomic was abruptly cut short by the software it was made in, Bitstrips, being repurposed as a custom emoji maker and sold to Snap Incorporated. So around 6 years now. I would have been about 16 at the time. I am now 22. That's how much of a chokehold this comic had and still has on me. After the deletion of the Lady Creepypasta YouTube channel, my fanworks for the comic and reboot planning videos quickly became my most popular content, with my initial redesign speed paint currently being my most viewed video at over 1,500 views. It's also massively outdated at this point, so I will probably be redoing it. But that's beside the point. So, what did I do? Well, in March of 2023, so almost 2 entire years ago at this point, I started production on an animated series based on The Creepy Crew. I brought on a team of volunteer voice actors and got to work as a one-woman writing, animation, design, and editing team. It was rough. I'd never been in a managerial position before, and now I had to handle setting and enforcing deadlines, not just for myself, but for others. Checking the accessibility of my scripts since one of my VAs was dyslexic, handling drama when I myself suck absolute balls at dealing with conflict resolution. I've since gotten better at that. And communicating with anywhere between 25 and 40 volunteers over a Discord server when we were all in wildly different time zones. And then I realized I wasn't enjoying the project because my writing was hot garbage and did nothing to actually fix the issues in a mid-2010s webcomic made by a 15-year-old. So I brought on one of my IRL friends, we completely rewrote the story and redesigned the cast, brought on new voice actors to account for changes, and ended up making way more progress on the project. I still struggled with burnout and depression, meaning I was missing a lot of my own deadlines, but my passion for it was renewed for the most part, mainly due to my friend and co-writer helping me out. And then something happened with another friend who had been volunteering. I won't go into detail about it, and I won't name any names or show any usernames, but in short, about 2 weeks before I was supposed to finish and post the first episode, what should have been an easily resolved personal disagreement about how the project was going escalated into a month-long mess, to be honest, that ended in the project being set for cancellation and me getting a new phone with a different number. It didn't leave me in the best state mentally, and kinda made me hate the comic and the project again until recently, when I started using a collaboration between me and a user going by Black Faith Star to make a TV tropes page as exposure therapy. I started to regain my enjoyment of a fandom I'd been active in for almost half my life, and the friend/co-writer that I'm still on good terms with and I started talking about maybe bringing back the reboot as something less labor-intensive, like a comic. And motherfucking then, I recently got a notification for a comment on one of my progress videos. It seemed like just regular praise and encouragement to keep up the good work. And then I checked the username and profile picture only to find out that I was being encouraged to keep going by the creator of the original webcomic, which means that I am now honor-bound to finish this thing. All that to say that no, the reboot isn't cancelled, but it will be taking a simpler form. Most likely a comic, as I said, with longer wait times between installments than I had originally planned. I don't know if it's going to be dubbed or not. I don't really want to try working with voice actors again after that. So, unless I can convince myself it won't all go to shit if I do that, we'll probably be working with something like AI voices to get something similar to our headcanon voices for the characters, or just not put in voice work at all like the original and maybe wait for one of the greats like Starbot or Cosplay All Day to come out of retirement and do an official dub as they're wont to do when a fandom comic gets popular. It's still all up in the air right now. Will I continue to make animations and animatics for the Creepy Crew and my reboot, which will be referred to as Shattered Souls from here on out? Of course! But I'm going to take my time and do things on my own terms, and it won't be the only thing I make. On that note, we're coming up on the new year. A few things, including moving out of my parents' house at the beginning of summer, and the month-long mess I mentioned earlier, caused me to kind of step back and reevaluate how I present myself online. The Estella persona has been in use since, I want to say mid-2020, so it's probably about 5 years. She's undergone some design changes, one of which I never got to use because my old laptop crapped out and took all my assets with it. The same is true for my current username and channel banner. I liked it well enough, but here's the thing. Most of this channel's aesthetic was made as a reflection of my mental state and perception of myself at the time. I was struggling with my mental health a lot more than I am now when I was 18, and that was reflected in how I presented myself. I didn't want to put anything similar to my face online, partially out of a healthy fear of being doxxed, and partially out of insecurity. I didn't even want to present myself as human due to my complicated and at this point non-existent relationship with religion. Anymore, my tendency to portray myself as a demon honestly has less to do with feeling inhuman and a lot more to do with kind of owning it, like, oh, you think I'm a horrible godless degenerate? I'll show you godless. Anyway, all that being said, I'm a lot more comfortable with the idea of making my Sona look more like myself, even if it's a kind of idealized one that also has horns and fangs. On top of that, Hellspawn Studios as a username, and for lack of a better term brand, due to having been around for this long, is connected to some, not so great points in my online presence. Like, yeah, that's the bitch who fucked up making a pilot episode for a Star vs. the Forces of Evil knockoff, rage quit a character design job for a mobile game studio, and got into stupid petty fights with people in comment sections. I'm not proud of my past self, and I feel like rebranding kind of helps to put that behind me. I'd had a separate channel called Solomon's Key, but it kind of got fucked over by the algorithm for reasons of being a new channel that didn't have any trend hopping and didn't have, like, one animatic go massively viral, which is kind of a requirement for art channels to get successful at this point. So I'm thinking on top of redesigning my Sona, I may revamp the Solomon's Key branding, again for lack of a better word, and use it for my main channel. You should see those changes being put into place shortly before New Year's Day, and I'll be putting a new introduction video up on January 4th, just so y'all aren't completely blindsided. This leads me to the last thing I want to bring up. Shattered Souls is getting picked back up, and I'm rebranding. That's already a lot, but it's not the only thing I wanted to keep you all in the loop on. I want to kind of branch out what kind of videos I make. For instance, right now all I really do is Creepy Crew fan art, Shattered Souls progress updates, which will be accompanied by comic pages eventually, and Candle Cove animations. But those aren't the only stories I want to write. I have a few original ones I want to play around with, like a supernatural buddy cop thing about a demon lord and a conspiracy theorist criminology student, and an RPG Maker horror game based on a vivid nightmare about working in a hotel that I had. And Monster Girl Yuri. A lot of Monster Girl Yuri. I'm also in other fandoms beyond the Creepy Crew and Candle Cove, like TF2, Pokemon, Husband Hotel, and I'd like to be able to post fan content for those alongside my creepypasta stuff and original stories. But I also want to branch out and make videos outside of fan art and my projects. I've had a few ideas for videos discussing things that invoke childhood nostalgia in me, both the good and ranging from video essays on the writing, art, characters, and messages, whether intentional or not, to making character redesign speed paints or even concept videos for hypothetical rewrites and spin-offs that probably won't see the light of day outside of AO3, hopefully, for the sake of everyone's sanity. I've also been wanting to do things like fanfic readings, like a comedic reading of Pokemon Gospel Virgin. Yes, Pokemon Gospel Virgin. Pokemon Gospel Version, I can't talk today, that I was going to release this Christmas, but that fell through, so now it's being pushed back. Or Let's Plays of indie games and horror ROM hacks. I also kind of want to move away from making content that could be pigeonholed as purely kid-friendly, because, gods damn it, I am a grown woman, and look, sometimes I just want to put middle-aged men in bunny suits and compromising positions, okay? Sorry about that, where was I? Okay, so what I'm getting at is that I want to make a more diverse range of videos, and this rebrand seems like a good opportunity to start. So, now you know where I've been, what's been happening, and what's going to happen in the future. Thanks for watching, and have a happy new year. 2024 has been rough.